What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Lunch Table Sports Podcast. So we had some exciting news in the last one. It did pretty well for our standards, which we're pretty excited to see after the hard work we put in. And just asking you guys, just please subscribe below. It kind of helps our channel grow, and that's kind of the big reason why so many people saw the last one, is because you guys keep liking the videos, watching them, subscribing. So thank you for that. And today we got a special one. We got Adyn's NHL mock draft. And we got our mock draft special.
So I'm excited for this one. I've skated with a lot of these guys. I know a lot of the USA players. So it's cool to see guys getting drafted, and yeah, I'm excited for this episode for sure.
Yeah. Without further ado, Adyn, hop into your first pick.
All right. So first pick here. I know for a lot of non-hockey fans, you might not know some of these guys, but I'll try to explain it my best. So Shane Wright here. He's the consensus number one this year in the hockey world. He's been so since I'd say 3 years ago, probably. He got exceptional status in the OHL, so he was a 15-year-old in the OHL. He's 6 foot, 191. He's the most complete player in this draft. He fits the Canadiens' needs for sure. Down the middle, he plays center, so they have Nick Suzuki there right now, but I think getting a guy like Shane Wright could never hurt. So yeah, Shane Wright, number one.
Yeah, as Adyn just said, he's kind of like the consensus guy right now in his career year. He which was in 2020, he had 39 goals and 27 assists, which is definitely like some pretty impressive stats for a guy who's going to be drafted first overall. He's one of the most diligent 3-zone players in the draft. I mean, that's definitely something you want to see when you're taking a guy number one overall. I think Adyn nailed all of his points, and I'm excited to see what Shane Wright can do in the NHL.
Yep, for sure. I agree with that. Number 2 here, we got Juraj Slavkovsky to the Devils. They have Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, and Dawson Mercer down the middle. I think Logan Cooley, who we'll see here in a little bit, I think he's the second best player in this draft, but I think that Slavkovsky fits the Devils' needs a lot more than a guy like Cooley, who's a centerman, and they have a lot of centers right now. They have good young centers, the Devils. They have Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, and Dawson Mercer, like I just mentioned. So a guy like Slavkovsky can come in. He can play up and down the lineup. He's big. He's 6'4", 218. He plays a big physical style, and he's NHL ready for sure. And he can come in and make an impact right away on the Devils, who they're far from being contenders. But I think taking a guy like this who plays the right way, he's built for the playoffs, that type of player, and he's played against men his whole life. He's always played up. He played in the Pro League last year in Finland. He played in the Olympics last year. So I think all those things together, he's definitely NHL ready, and I think the Devils would be a great fit for him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just think for the Devils, because I mean they've kind of struggled, and they're definitely a younger team. I think adding a guy like this and all the scouting reports that people have been reading, I've been reading, just say he's got maybe some of the best upside out of any player in this draft. And I think if the Devils just adding that kind of upside and that kind of NHL ready now, that combination could be pretty scary for the future.
Yep, for sure. Moving on here, number 3, we got Logan Cooley. I just mentioned him a little bit. He played for NCDP last year, USA in Plymouth. He's an elite skater. I've watched him play multiple times. I've skated with him. He's the best, I think, offensive player in this draft. His skating is second to none in this draft. He's 5'10", 174, so maybe needs to work on that frame a little bit, just to play in the NHL. But watching him play, he's definitely stronger than he looks, and he uses his size to protect pucks, stuff like that. He's very creative in the offensive zone, and he makes everyone he plays with better. And I think Arizona, a team that's looking for a superstar like this to kind of build their franchise around, and he can come in and play with these young guys like Clayton Keller, guys like that. I think that would be a great pick for Arizona. But I think another reason I have him 3 here is I think he's taken at least a year in Minnesota. He's committed there for next year. I think those top 2 guys are playing the NHL right away. So him going to college for a year, I think will help a lot too. So yep, Logan Cooley at 3.
Yeah, definitely. When you mentioned he played in a Plymouth, Michigan for the USHL, that's definitely something that stood out. Me and Adyn actually went and saw him play live. So Cooley was definitely one of the guys. I mean, he was all over the place on the ice, using his speed to create turnovers, on the defensive end too, and just getting the puck away from skaters with his elite speed is kind of the number one thing that stood out to me. And I definitely agree with Adyn that he's probably one of the best offensive players in this whole draft, and especially for a team like the Coyotes, are kind of lacking some of that young talent. I think adding a guy like Cooley will definitely be beneficial for the long-term development of this team.
Yep, definitely. Moving on here, number 4, Simon Nemec. He's from Slovakia. He played pro there last year. I think the Kraken, they need one of those. They need one of these young franchise type defensemen. They drafted Matty Beniers last year. I watched him a lot at Michigan, just being close and stuff like that. And we saw what he did in his short time this year in the NHL. I think he's going to be their centerpiece on offense for a lot of years. So I think that adding a defenseman like Nemec, who he's 6 foot 190, he's an outstanding two-way player. He honestly, I think, is better on the defensive end than offensive end, which you don't see with a lot of these young guys nowadays. But he's an extremely good skater, so that allows him to obviously like show his offensive stuff. But I think that just goes to show his defensive side as well. You never really see him get burnt, and I think a guy like this, who the Kraken are in desperate need of a franchise type defenseman who can come in and be their number one guy for a lot of years to play with alongside Matty Beniers. So I think adding a guy like this would be very, very beneficial for the Kraken.
Yeah, no doubt. He's the best defender of the draft. Easily great two-way skills. He's just a steady all-around blue liner. He's putting up numbers in the Slovakian league. He's putting up numbers in that league. He's along with his all-around game. He's definitely a great two-way player. With some of these guys having injuries on this team, I think that that Nemec can come in and maybe produce right away.
Yeah, definitely. Number 5 here, I got Cutter Gauthier. Cutter Gauthier, I've watched him play a lot too, being at USA. I've skated with him before as well. I think he's the most NHL caliber ready shot. He's an elite skater. He uses size. He's 6'2", 189. And I think being around an NHL team, NHL strength coach, stuff like that, I think he can bulk up even more and just be that much more of a dominant player. But being in the USHL this year, you could see that he's definitely ready for college and to make that next step. And I think playing a few years at BC, 1 or 2 years, Boston College is where he's committed. I think after that, he'll definitely be ready for the NHL, and he can come in and make an impact right away. He's a power forward type player, but he's very very creative, and he has sneaky skill where he uses his size and stuff like that to protect pucks. He had 34 goals, 31 assists, 54 games this year. He played for the U.S. in the World 18s, and he stood out there too. I think he might have been the best player on that team. They fell short in that tournament, but I think just goes to show that he's one of the best players in the world, and I think he deserves to be up in the top 5.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a Boston College commit, like you just said. A lot of things that I've seen people talking about is his shot. He works hard off the puck and utilizes his teammates to really get himself in a good space to get available for that shot, which is one of his top tools in the draft. So definitely on a USHL roster that's like NTDB that's this loaded. I think Gauthier made the most of his opportunities, and that's the reason we're seeing him here at pick 5.
Moving on here, number 6, Joakim Kemell. He played in the Finnish League too this year. He's a right winger. I think the Blue Jackets are in desperate need of a guy like this, who he's an all-around guy. He scores, he plays D, he can penalty kill, power play. He does it all, and I think that Columbus is in need of a guy like that. They have some good young talent. They got Kent Johnson, guys like that who are starting to change the franchise around. But I think that just adding more guys who can play up and down the lineup. He's 5'11", 171. but I think he plays bigger than that. He plays tougher than that. He's physical. He's a power type, but he's also skilled. And let me see here. He had 15 goals in 39 games last year, so I think that shows his scoring ability, playing in the top league in Finland, playing against men. So he's NHL ready, and I think he could even come in this year and play in the NHL, which I think he'll play one more year in Finland, but I think he's capable of coming in right away. So I would like this pick a lot for Columbus.
Yeah, he had a red hot start to the season last year. You started to see his season kind of slow down with a shoulder injury. But he's definitely been one of the biggest risers in this draft ever since that red hot start. Really plays an energetic game and doesn't shy away from some of the physical aspects in hockey. It's maybe some of these other guys do a little bit with these youngsters. And he has an outstanding shot, which I definitely think is one of the biggest reasons like for his success. But I definitely think Kemell here, that's a great pick.
Yep, I agree with that. Number 7 here, David Jiricek. He also played in the Czech league this year. He's another one of these Czech players who the Czechs have done a great job developing these young guys. He had a knee surgery he had a knee injury that required surgery in January. But I think before that, we could see his potential and what he's capable of. And he's 6'3", 189, and he plays a mature style game, which I think these NHL teams like a lot, where he plays that NHL type game, NHL type style. Sorry, and being from overseas, we could see that he's very creative. He makes good offensive. He has good offensive instincts for a defenseman, and he's also very reliable on D. So you can play him in any situation. He makes good outlet passes. He's kind of a one man breakout type player. I don't know. I think the Senators, they have Shabbat, guys like that, but just keep building on that decor for the future. I think they're a couple pieces away from being a very 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 dangerous young team with some of these pieces they have. So I think adding a guy like this for in a couple years who can step in and make a difference is very important. And I think the Senators would benefit from that a lot. So I like this pick.
Yeah, he was definitely putting on a show before that knee injury, which you just kind of hate to see. What happens to him? Maybe he'll have to sit out a couple of years, maybe in the overseas for a little longer. But I definitely think this is one of the best two-way players in this draft. He's a really good defenseman, and I think going to a team that's one or two pieces away from really kind of really getting back to where they were, I think that he can definitely provide that.
For sure. Here I got Pavel Mintyukov. He came over from Russia. He played in the OHL the past couple of years. He's 6'1", 197. He's an outstanding skater for his size. He has great offensive instincts. But I think he's a kind of high risk, high reward type player where he's a bit of a liability sometimes on the defensive end. But I think the Red Wings, Stevie Y knows what he's doing. And I think drafting a guy like this who could be a bit of a project, but I think if it'll pay off in the end. So he missed a month this year with a shoulder injury, but he was still top 10 in points in the OHL for defensemen. And he's a power play type, like quarterback type player. So I think adding a guy like that who can be on the second unit next to Moritz Seider and kind of run that second unit for the future is great also. And looking at the Red Wings, they have Seider, who had a great rookie year. I think he should win Rookie of the Year this year, but it never hurts to add another young defenseman. And I think a guy like this who can play alongside Seider and kind of plays a complementary game to him would be great for the Red Wings. So I would like this pick a lot if I'm Stevie Y in the Red Wings organization.
Yeah, for sure. Red Wings are definitely my favorite team, the hometown team. So the defense kind of struggled last year. I mean, obviously they had Mo Seider. He was a terrific rookie. Definitely will be one of the top players in the league soon to come. But I think other than that, they don't really have a ton of other guys at defenseman. So I think kind of drafting Pavel and kind of letting him sit for a little bit. And then by the time they're Red Wings are good, they're rolling, they're in the playoffs, he'll be ready to come in and produce right away. So I think that's kind of you're banking on that. And then to join that young core with Lucas Raymond, Simon Edmondson, just kind of the guys they got there already. This young core is gonna be super fun to watch in the NHL.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see what the Red Wings are in the future, but I would like this pick a lot too. Moving on here, number 9. Matthew Savoie. Matthew Savoie, I think he stands out with skating. He's the best skater in this draft by far. But he's 5'9", 175. So I think it's a bit of a high risk, high reward type pick where he's definitely got the potential. He's kind of that anomaly where he's a shorter player, but I think we've seen in the NHL guys like Cole Caulfield, DeBrincat, guys like that, where it doesn't really matter anymore. And he's an elite skater. I think he's by far the best skater in this draft. He's explosive offensively. He has a high hockey IQ. They lost Eichel, and they had a good end of the year. They got Owen Power up there, but just adding to this young core, a guy like Matthew Savoie, who would really, if you develop him right, stuff like that, it'll really pay off for them in the future. So if I'm Buffalo, I love this pick.
Yeah, for sure. He's a little smaller of a player, but I don't think that's a huge knock on his game because he uses that to advantage. He's very skilled and very quick. And he's kind of a feisty player. Like he's not afraid to get in a dogfight. And I think that's definitely, you want to see that from a smaller guy, that feistiness. And I definitely think that's a player this team kind of needs. And to just add him to what they already have already there, team can be dangerous a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. To wrap it up here, last pick in the top 10, Frank Nazar. I've skated with him as well. I've seen him play a lot with NCDP just down the road from us. He's 5'10", 175, and I think he's one of the most he's one of the best offensive players in this draft. I think he's the most creative player. He's highly skilled. He's an electric type player who's just a game breaker, and he's also very competitive where he has a high motor. He wins a lot of battles. He makes plays. He gets to the net, scores goals. Everything you want to see in a big time prospect. And he's also a guy, just like I said before, he's a center, but he can also slide over to the wing. And I think putting him with a guy like Zegras, there wouldn't be very many teams that could stop guys like that. Just so creative, so high hockey IQ, and also he's very good on the defensive end. He wins faceoffs. He plays both ways. So I think you love to see that from a guy like this who's that good offensively, but he also plays good in his own end. So I love Frank Nazar if I'm the Ducks.
Yeah, Nazar. He's definitely a guy who stood out to me when I went to watch NTDB play. He's a great offensive player. Very good at scoring the puck. He kind of helped out his teammates a lot. Like I said before, like this loaded NCDP roster, it's kind of a little difficult to stand out to most guys because there's so many good players on that team. But Nazar definitely was one of the top guys who stood out to me. And I think just this team adding a guy like Nazar will be so beneficial for the future.
Yeah, definitely. But that wraps things up here for the NHL mock. I appreciate Noah kind of stepping over to my area of expertise, but this was fun. I hope you guys like the NHL stuff. See how this video does, but if you guys like the NHL stuff, definitely do more. I'm always down for that. But so what do you think, Rollins, about that podcast?
Yeah, this is a good one. A little bit of a hockey one. We haven't done that so far on the channel. So if you guys really like this hockey stuff, just make sure to let us know in the comments. Tell us what to do next. Make sure to like this video if you want more hockey stuff. See you in the next episode.